So I'm sure after buying a few watches, you might be wondering, what if you try to buy a perfect watch, a watch which is perfect in all the things or all the dimensions. For example, it should be of right size, it should have the right kind of movement, it should have sapphire crystal, it should have see-through case bag, it should have good water resistance, and it's a bit unique also, and at a very right price point. So I have a watch for you, and that is called the Seiko Alpinist SPB121J1. Now this watch got its name, that is Alpinist series, from the 20s, when the Japanese explorers, maybe seafarers, or maybe people like going to snow, so they used to explore the world, and at that time Seiko launched a series called Alpinist. So the origin of the series is like that, and in between, they've launched various iterations of this. So this is the current iteration of the Seiko Alpinist, which has certain unique features. For example, it has a internal rotating compass bezel, and it has a crown also for that, for its rotation. So very few watches are there with this kind of thing, and let's try to explore further in a more detailed review of. So if I tell you a little history about this watch, so the Alpinist series was originally known as the Laurel Alpinist, and the Laurel was launched in the 20s. But the Laurel Alpinist series with this name was launched in 1959. So from 1959, later on in the 1960s, the second generation was launched, which was called the Champion 850. And later on it came with earlier it had a mechanical hand winding movement, but later on in the late 60s it started coming with automatic movement also. In 1995, after around 30 years of its first launch in 1959, a thicker case was launched, and with the inner rotating compass bezel. So as you can see in this also you have, so as against external bezel, which is a typical common thing visible in dive watches, it has an internal bezel, and it has two crowns. So one is for setting the time and all, and the second one is the compass crown. So see, it has a internally rotating, manually rotating compass, which is a bit weird, at the same time interesting, and for this purpose only there is a entire new or separate crown. So in 1995 this compass bezel came into picture with a thicker case, and it was in 1995 it used to get called as the Red Alpinist because of the red inscription on the dial. And Alpinist was also written on the dial. In 2006 it became even more popular with the launch of Saab 017. So if you just Google it out also, you will get it that Saab series was very popular with a unique dark grey sunburst dial and gold accents, like in this case also. And it removed the inner compass and Alpinist. So one iterations, companies also go back and forth. So the designers or the R&D people might have tried a new iteration that let's get rid of the internal rotating bezel or the compass, and no cyclops also. So without cyclops, so you can imagine the popular Saab 017, which is a cult classic of Seiko, haven't had this cyclops or the magnifier, date magnifier, and the internal rotating bezel, that is the compass bezel, and of course no secondary crown. But the fan following got a serious hit when in 2017 the Saab series got discontinued. So of course Seiko also could not withstand the pressure of the fans who were demanding for Alpinist to come back, and in 2019 they brought back the Alpinist, but again with the same original Cyclops, but some design cues to be different. For example, Prospex X is mentioned in this case also, because the Prospex logo was redesigned, and it's a professional field watch and a mountaineering tool, as it used to be considered as. It is also part of Seiko's Land series of watches, and it was topped up with 200-meter water resistance, and that is the current avatar. And after that, like, lot of color variations and so on came into this. So we have a beige dial, we have a black or charcoal dial, we have this original. So this is the original dark green sunburst dial with gold accents. So this is the the pure form of the Alpinist. Now if we go about the basic specs of this watch, it comes in 39.5 millimeter case, which sits, I feel it looks more like 38 millimeter when it is worn, or like visibly also, but actually if you measure it, it's 39.5 millimeter. It has a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating and a cyclops or a date magnifier. Again, you can have any kind of liking or disliking of this cyclops, but it's okay, like one variation. It has 20 bar water resistance or 200 meter water resistance. It has date display. It comes with 6R35 movement of Seiko, automatic movement of Seiko, which has around 70 hours of power reserve and plus 25 to minus 15 seconds per day as an accuracy, which is fairly good because it is 6 series movement. So it is better, the 4 series, 6 series, 8 series movements of Seiko automatics. It has a thickness of 13.2 millimeter and a 46.4 millimeter lug to lug. So as you can see, the lugs taper significantly towards the lower side, and it makes a good fit on the wrist, virtually all sizes of wrists, unless you have an extremely large size of wrist. So 7.5 kind of inches are pretty well will go with this size of watch. It has a leather cow leather watch band, which is of 20 millimeter lug, and it has of course rotating internal compass bezel, screw down crown, because 200 meter water resistance makes it almost a diver watch also. It has Lumi-Bright hands, the Seiko Lumi-Bright hands. The R hand is a cathedral hand, and the minute hand is a syringe hand, which further gives it a character. And the Seiko is also gilded in gold. So that's how, like, if you look at the case back and try to see the movement working. So see here. So it's a beautiful looking watch made of stainless steel, and it is mentioned 20 bar and sapphire crystal, the usual stuff which is mentioned. The good part or maybe unique part that we need to mention and understand, this is made in Japan. So unlike most of the lower versions of Seiko which are made in China, this is made in Japan, so that can be another point which you may like. So this is how it is. Now why this is a bit weird also at the same time interesting. So this internal rotating compass bezel is one. Second is, if you look at the clasp and if you look at the strap, it is it functions in the opposite direction. So like we normally wear a watch like this, and the strap, the other side of the strap comes from this side, whereas this is opposite. So I'll show you how it is opposite. So if I fit it, and wear it, so it goes in this direction and not in this direction. Okay, so this is opposite, so which might appear to be a little weird, but later on I realized when I'm wearing this watch that probably the opposite direction is much better as compared to the standard direction, or you can say a dominant design that we have been used to, that the other side or the shorter side of the strap will come out from this side. So here the shorter side will come out from this side. So initially when you hold the watch, you'll feel like it is a bit opposite, it is a bit weird, but when you get used to it, probably you'll start liking it. So just tell me in comments, like, what do you feel about this opposite direction strap, because normally this side is shorter, the upper side, and the lower side is longer. In this case it is opposite and it fits from this side. So the case is brushed as well as polished. So the sides are polished, but here like the front side is brushed because it is more prone to touches, so probably that way, that's why. And the bezel, there is a steel ring over here which we can call it as bezel, is also polished. The movement also has 24 joules, and this is also magnetic resistant. So overall it gives you a very comprehensive good package. So probably the designers have thought that what if we give a full package to the customers, what would be the watch? And the watch which they figured out or configured was this Seiko Alpinist SPB121J1. So if I show you in a relatively neutral light, see, this is how it looks like. It has gilded arm markers and applied indices, and look at the cathedral hand. So as the light shines on it, the sunburst is also quite prominent, and the color is dark green, so it is not bright also, so that like it becomes too gaudy. So it's a quite subtle dark green which enhances the gild and the markers. So this is how it looks like on my 7.25 inch wrist, and I would say it fits very well. So if you look at the loom, so you can see on the seconds, minute and hour hand as well as the hour markers, all are glowing with Lumi Bright. So to conclude, you can really say that this is a goat from Seiko, and anybody can go for it. You will never get wrong despite being its quirkiness or little unique and weird things on this, but a perfect package, and it's a fail safe product, I would say.